24/7 with you.
Hello everyone! In this video I will analyze the second verse, RM's part, of the beautiful BTS's song Blue and Grey. If you have missed my previous videos, please check them out on my channel to have a more complete analysis of the song. So, let's start!
난 확신이란 따위 안 믿어 색채 같은 말을 간지러 넓은 회색 지대가 변해 여기 수억 가지 표정의 그레이 비가 오면 내 세상 이 도시 위로 춤춘다 맑은 날엔 안개 젖은 날엔 함께 여기 모든 먼지들 위에 촛배를.
As we have seen at the end of J-Hope's part, it seems that the protagonist's soul is on a higher level, far from everything and everyone, but without reference points. Not even God becomes a certainty, and the words of others, as well as the colors around him, make him feel uncomfortable. It should be emphasized that the presence of the term Shin, God, in the Korean lyrics does not necessarily have to be translated as such. The complete expression Hwag Shin Iran Shin, that is, a God called certainty, can very well be considered a wordplay used to give a certain rhyme and rhythm to the lyrics and consequently be translated as I don't believe in the idea of certainty. A clear contrast emerges. In the previous part, sung by J-Hope with a soft and calm voice, the situation is rather static. The protagonist walks and then stops without reference points. This part, on the other hand, sung by RM, begins with the statement I don't believe in a God or in a concept called certainty, followed by the image of the protagonist dancing, a movement that interrupts the monotony of walking, even more emphasized by the singer's incisive and powerful voice, and which marks, according to the South Korean-American singer-songwriter Knife, the real climax of the whole song. The only place where the protagonist of Blue and Grey truly feels at peace with himself is an undefined, vast grey area, where grey takes on hundreds of millions of facial expressions. Here, the grey that has hundreds of millions of facial expressions. This color creates comfort, protection, an invisible armor, even in the face of the belief in the absence of eternity. This is also what RM states in his song Forever Rain.
잿빛 세상에서 살고 싶어 영원 따위 없는 걸 알고 있어.
If Suga sings the first verse, in which the color blue, which is so important to him, appears 3 times, J-Hope and RM sing this second one, in which, as well as the obvious reference to the song Forever Rain, the color grey appears always 3 times. As previously reported, this color is also seen as the color of the ashes, thus assuming a meaning of mourning. By both choosing to live in a world dominated by grey, it is as if the protagonists of Blue and Grey and Forever Rain accept their destiny as mortal beings, destined to periodically experience joys and sorrows. In the world of Blue and Grey, in particular, grey is personified and takes on hundreds of millions of facial expressions. This latter aspect is well linked to a particular consideration. The grey color in a painting is obtained not only by combining black and white, but also by mixing together the 3 primary colors, blue, red and yellow, in equal parts. Now, the fact that there are no expressions of different colors, but they are all grey, highlights an idea of homologation. Feeling surrounded by grey faces, in which those different colors similar to words that made him uncomfortable do not appear, words like colors make me cringe, the singer remarks that he is not the only one to feel that unhappiness, but it is shared by many other people. There aren't blue, red and yellow faces, only grey faces, and grey therefore becomes the result of the mixing of the 3 primary colors and their multiple combinations, as well as the clue to how, however different may appear and express different sensations, we always retain a sense of unease and impotence. This is why, immediately afterwards, he states that when it rains, the world around him becomes his world. Rain becomes the unifying element of the colors blue and grey. The first, due to the fact that, in addition to conveying a sense of melancholy and nostalgia, it refers to the idea of water and freshness. The second, because usually when it rains, the sky and the clouds are tinged with this color, with now evident meanings. The rain falls on everyone, making no exceptions. The singer discovers that he is not the only one to suffer, but, like him, hundreds of millions of faces find themselves living in the same condition as him. We find a similar situation in the aforementioned Forever Rain by RM, in which, however, it is the rain itself that becomes the protagonist's friend, who knocks on his windows to ask if everything is okay.
비가 오면 조금은 나 친구가 있다는 기분이 들어 자꾸 내 창문들을 두드려 잘 지내냐면서 안부를 물어.
But let's go back to Blue and Grey. The awareness of not being the only one to suffer leads the protagonist, as already mentioned, to express his mood through dance, perhaps one of the most ancient and spontaneous forms of human expression. A dance, however, that takes place not in the city, but upon, as if it elevates the protagonist to a sort of higher dimension, to a comfort never experienced before. The subsequent reference to fog, then, is clear. Like a veil covering the entire landscape, the fog creates, like rain, a sense of homologation, of unity. The outlines become less clear, and the whole world becomes grey. The reference to the fact that there is fog on a clear day, it's foggy on a clear day, is rather singular. The two atmospheric conditions might seem antithetical, but here the fog appears perhaps as a sort of filter, the filter of melancholy, which changes the perception of the world around the singer, coloring it with that grey that dominates the whole song. In the last two lines of this second verse, we find again the reference to rain, with rainy days that contrasts with the previous clear day, but also an invitation to make a toast to all the dust present. The contrast between it's foggy on a clear day and on rainy days together and always is highlighted even more from the point of view of the sound by a particular technique called 8D. If you listen to the song through headphones or earphones, you can perceive how the sound bounces from the right ear with the first sentence to the left ear with the second sentence, involving the listener even more in the sound experience. The dust, as well as the aforementioned rain, is mentioned even in a verse of Life Goes On, the first track of B.
손목구름보다 빨리 달려가 그럼 될 줄 알았는데 나 겨우 사람인가 봐 몹시 아프네 세상이란 놈이 지갑기 덕분에 눌러보는 먼지 쌓인 되갑기 넘어진 채 청하는 엇박자의 춤.
The dust-covered rewind button that is mentioned is probably part of an old cassette player, now unused for a long time. The dust, as well as the long unheard music, becomes a metaphor of the past, of distant memories. Memories that this called a probable reference to the current pandemic situation, which seems to have segregated the world in a sort of long lethargy, suggests to the protagonist to recall by pressing rewind. It follows that, hearing that music, he begins to dance. A dance out of time, however. A dance performed even lying on the floor, dancing offbeat lying on the ground. Dance is, in itself, movement in space, a progression of gestures. The fact that he dances lying on the ground is an indication that, yes, he is reliving those memories again, but at the same time he is in a static situation, in which the world seems to have stopped. Thinking about dust, Another image that could come to mind is certainly that of ash, previously mentioned, as well as the consideration that its microscopic grains can represent human beings, with their grey faces, partakers of the same fate, and to whom the protagonist wants to toast, perhaps hoping for a more peaceful future. A toast, then. How can't we recall the song Dionysus?
그냥 취해 마치 디오니소스 한 손에 술잔 다른 손에 든 칠소 투명한 크리스탈 잔속 찰나기는 예술로 술이 입어 마시면 예술.
In the Korean lyrics, we find both the word sul, which means alcohol, and yesul, which means art. Two terms so similar, so much so that the second seems to include the first. The action of drinking becomes therefore a favorable condition for artistic creativity, creating an adequate mental state. In Blue and Grey, the invitation to toast for that humanity, similar to dust, can almost certainly refer to the invitation to create, to take a cue from the current situation, to bring to light something artistic, worthy of being contemplated. Will this be useful to make the protagonist feel better, to finally get rid of that melancholy? As will be seen in the second chorus, the desire to be happy, I just wanna be happier, resurfaces once again. The answer, therefore, is negative, an answer, in a certain sense, already anticipated by the song Hold Me Tight. But that is not all. On February the 28th, 2016, RM, who, as previously mentioned, has written parts of Blue and Grey, shared a post on the Fan Cafe forum regarding the presence of fine particles in South Korea. The second part of this message reports the following words. But also, sometimes I feel sorry for the dust, because they are thrown and carried away, just because they made the fault, that is not really fault, of existing. Just by breathing, they become the unwelcome gas, the harm. How sad the life of dust is. There isn't anyone who treats precious and stores a dust particle. While I think it's not possible, but if it's possible, those dusts become to have personality. Would that be called dustinality? Wouldn't all dusts in the world gather in one place and build a city of dusts, the Dust Republic? Would then the world without dust will just be clean and refreshing? I don't know. Even aside from the real dust, there are so many dusts floating around among people. Perhaps we could just be big chunks of dust. To this universe, a dust of what color would I be? Tonight as well, I blow this dust-like day away. The Man Grains of Dust Association clearly resurfaces here. Grains of dust characterized by a certain personality, participants of the same situation and inhabitants of the same world. But, RM wonders, if I were really like that, if I were really a tiny speck of dust, what color would I be? A dust of what color would I be? He will find the answer 4 years later. Blue and Grey. That's all for now. In my next videos, I will continue my analysis of Blue and Grey, hoping that it will help you know and appreciate even more this beautiful song. But before you leave, let me say a big thank you for watching my video. See you soon and do not forget to like, share and subscribe.